It's the Sittin Sportside podcast.
Can't wait.
With Mike James.
Come on, man.
Matt Hogan.
It's going to be legend. Wait for it. Dairy. Legendary.
And Eric Hanman.
I have dedicated my life to this team, okay?
On 1045theteam.com.
And welcome into the podcast. 2 in 1 week. Can you guys believe it?
Are we drunk?
No, I think we're completely sober. And we're going to be talking about some NBA.
Woo, we'll get some NBA.
See, like in the past, we let you guys just like sit there for 2 hours by your computer, like engulfed, like totally engulfed. But you're like, oh man, I missed my daughter's ballet recital. Like you guys are so engulfed that you missed some important events. Now we're breaking it up. 2 different segments. So like right now we're talking NBA.
Sports.
You just probably listened either yesterday or maybe today to our Super Bowl podcast, and of course you can check that out on our Team 1045 youtube.com/Team 1045, and then you can even listen to our very own Mike James, who talked to Atlanta beat writer. Right? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I talked to D'Orlando Ledbetter, the Atlanta Falcons beat writer for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. I got his thoughts on the Falcons heading into the big game, what he thinks about the game, and who he picks.
Nice.
Big get, Mike. That was all Mike, too, right there.
And unfortunately, Hogan and I could not sit in. We live at the station doing stuff. So like the Albany game took precedent for me, and I'm so happy that Mike was able to take that interview. It's awesome for the show. We got some big news for Mike James at the end of this podcast, but let's dive in.
Bittersweet.
Let's dive into this podcast. We're talking NBA, and guys, the real reason I really wanted to talk NBA basketball, because I've been brainstorming and really thinking about a lot of things. And the number one thing I think you look at the Eastern Conference is there's not a team that's going to compete with the Cleveland Cavaliers. We've touched on it before on a previous podcast, and everyone's going to say it. Like, is there going to be a team? Well, I personally have a dark horse that I really like the way they're playing basketball right now. I really think that when this team gets going, and obviously there's a trade deadline, so maybe they can bring in a playmaker like LeBron wants to do. We'll get to that maybe a little later in the podcast. There's a dark horse in the Eastern Conference, and I think they could be a team that is going to give the Cleveland Cavaliers a run for their money in the Eastern Conference. And I think they might be able to be a team that could get to the finals. I don't know. I mean, I know it's hard to. It's blasphemous to say, am I right? That any other teams that make the finals in the Eastern Conference other than the Cavs, but I think they got a shot.
Oh.
Do you want me just to come out and name?
Can we make a guess? Just like a quick guess before he does it, because I would love to pinpoint it.
All right, I'm gonna say the New York Knicks. It's gotta be the Knicks, right, Hogan?
Why would it be the Knicks?
I would not go Knicks.
No,
it's got to be the Nets, right? I mean, they're gonna go on an 80.
Philadelphia 76ers.
40. Well, they're playing good
basketball.
Actually,
they're gonna be good next year.
They're playing good basketball. It's not the Sixers though. Can't wait to see Ben Simmons though in the second half.
Yes,
hopefully. You know what? Actually, I would rather see Ben Simmons sit out the rest of this year so we can be rookie of the year next year.
I think that team next year.
Well, they'll probably have a top 10 pick at least, if not top 7.
Yeah.
So Mike had an interesting guess. I don't think it was a real guess. I think Hogan might pinpoint it, but we'll see.
Do you want my real guess though?
Between two, yeah. Give me a real one, Mike.
Toronto.
I think that they're one of the teams that would have a chance. That you could put that in that category. Wouldn't call it a dark horse though, because I think teams are talking about them as the team that might, if they take it next level.
Yeah. But, okay, fair enough.
So I'm gonna say the Washington Wizards.
Ding ding.
Yes.
Yeah.
Really?
I was just thinking about like who's been hot as of late and who's like under the radar.
Oh, they're hot of late.
Yeah, and you have a guard in John Wall. I don't know if they're contenders though, but
he's doing the John Wall True 41. I love it.
Now let's hear why Eric is so passionate about this team.
Well, I've been a big John Wall fan probably since day one, and Mike, I know, isn't a big John Wall fan.
He's a good player. I won't take away from him, but I'm not a Kentucky fan.
The starting 5 for this team obviously I started off by saying it's underrated. The starting 5 for this team is very underrated. I think that if you look at their starting 5, it's still Bradley Beal. Yeah. This is a team that is very, very thin, unfortunately, as a complete team. But the starting 5 is absolutely, I think it's one of the best in the league. Definitely top 3. Total starting 5. Because John Wall at the point, and I've touched on another podcast, I love the point guards who can get me assists. John Wall's going to get me assists. He's not the guy who's going to shoot you out of a gym, because he's not fantastic from the 3-point range. But you put his numbers against Kyrie Irving's. We had this discussion before about the All-Star game. Every number for Kyrie, he's a little bit down in points, which kind of correlates with he's down in 3-pointers. But everything else, John Wall is up. He's got more assists, got more rebounds, got more steals per game. You can even add blocks to that category. John Wall, and he's the leader. He's the hands-down leader of this team. Bradley Beal has been healthy this year. He's taken a step forward. So is Otto Porter Jr. at the 3. Markieff Morris, which was a big get for them last year at the trade deadline, is very solid at the 4. And Gortat is a great center.
He's one of my favorite.
Because he's a workhorse.
Yeah, he's averaging a double-double this year.
Right.
Gortat is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Averaging a double-double.
But this is where it gets dicey, and this is where I get my concerns. All 5 of those guys are averaging at 31.9 minutes per game or more. That's Markieff Morris, who has 31.9 points per game, minutes per game, which is the least, and that's a lot as a starting 5. But when I look at that bench, there's not enough there. You have a second-year player out of Kansas in Kelly Oubre Jr. You got Trey Burke, who's trying to reinvent himself on a different team now, coming off the bench and no longer being kind of that star guy that he could have been in Utah, but they kind of pushed him out of there by drafting Exum and Alec Burks as well as trading for George Hill. And it just, that's really it for the bench, unfortunately. Jason Smith is the big guy off the bench, and they got a lot of no names. I mean, they got guys who haven't really done much in the NBA, guys like Andrew Nicholson, who's just hasn't done much, Daniel Chefu, the rookie from Villanova, national champion, and then Jan Mahimi's been out since he first played. That's the guy they need to get back and healthy so they can have an 8 or 9 deep with Oubre, Burke, Jason Smith, and Mahimi. What?
I thought it was Ian Mahimi.
It's
isn't
Jan.
It? Oh.
It's spelt like Ian, but it's pronounced Jan.
Oh.
So if they get him out, that's the 9 deep. But I just we'll talk about it a little later. I think we're gonna touch on the Cavs and whether they're gonna bring anybody out, maybe a little bit. But they need more. I don't know if they're gonna get that via trade, but I think that starting 5, if it's going well, and obviously I'm kind of rambling here, and I want to get you guys in on this as well. But they have the lack of, because they didn't want to win a playoff series if Paul Pierce didn't call a game. I didn't call glass, I call a game. They wouldn't have won that playoff series without him. They've very struggled. They struggled last year, didn't even get back to the playoffs, and they haven't been able to be successful in the playoffs. The moment may be too big. But they've had that experience now, even Otto Porter when he was a rookie, and obviously Oubre wasn't there. But I think this team is good enough as a starting 5 to really give it to them. It's going to be the bench. I think that's going to get outplayed, and obviously they're going to have a hard time matching up with LeBron. That Otto Porter is going to have to take a big step to defend.
But you know what? I'm not going to say they're going to beat the Cavs, but you're right. They can be contenders. Their bench is very scarce right now at this point in the season. Mm-hmm. Trade deadline, they might make a move. Who knows?
Or free agents, we see some.
Yeah, get some guys back from injury, as you said.
Right. Because Mahimi would be big for them as a center position off the bench.
It's all about, not all about, but if your momentum is taking you that way towards the end of the season, and they have all 5 healthy still, there's no reason to think they can't. I mean, the Cavs aren't playing that great.
Well, right now they're very much reeling, but I'm of the belief that that's not going to be the team that shows up in April.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I think they're tired.
That's exactly what I think of what it is as well.
Was LeBron gone to how many finals in a row?
6.
It's got to take a toll on your body. It's not all LeBron either, but I'm just you're usually players on a team or whatever. But yeah, I like your points. I think the Wizards, they have a good foundation. It'll be exciting to see in a couple of years, though, if they can build
still think
more team
the only
them.
team with a chance are the Raptors, and I don't know if they can do it.
I would say those are 2 teams that are very similar in a way.
I still like the Celtics.
The backcourt is what's going to win it for them. They have Valanciunas, the Raptors do, who could be kind of equal.
I hate you for that.
I feel like we're in a classroom, and I'm about to be like, Mike, do you want to share what you have to say with the rest of the class?
Like a little whisper.
Excuse me, Mr. Hanneman, I'd like to say something.
Okay, Mike.
Hogan,
you know what?
I hate
Never mind.
your pick on the Celtics.
Go in the corner right now, okay?
I want to.
No apple juice for you.
The Celtics are a good team, though, too.
Yeah, the Celtics are a good team. And what is the problem? Problem for all of them is, okay, how do we stop LeBron James from taking over in a game, I guess, right? I mean, Jay Crowder might be a better answer defensively than Otto Porter is, or Avery Bradley if he can get healthy.
And then even if you stop LeBron, you have to worry about Kyrie.
Right.
I mean, it's a hard situation. Even
I'd
Kevin
say if you
Love,
stop them, you get Kevin Love. But who's really scared of Kevin Love nowadays?
he's a threat.
And always got to be controversial with it.
Somebody's got to be.
Yeah.
Kevin Love's a threat.
It's one of those things where Kevin Love's a threat if he matches up well. And that's why he did not match up well against the Warriors. That's why he wasn't as big of a factor as some people want him to be.
Would he match up well in the Wizards against the Wizards?
My answer to that question would be yes.
Because I think Gortat matches up great with Tristan Thompson.
Right. I think that Markieff against Love would be tough, I think, for Markieff to stop him from totally on the perimeter. Yep. Markieff is also a stretch four. I don't think he shoots the three as well as Kevin Love, but he definitely can shoot the three. But he's not someone who's going to like take advantage of Love inside.
Yeah.
I think he might, because Love is no shabby of a rebounder. I mean, he can grab boards.
Oh, yeah.
But I think Markieff's motor, if he wants it to be, because he's had some problems in terms of he giving 100% every night. But when he wants to be, Markieff's motor can be very good and very hard on that glass.
Yeah, it's a matchup he could win, though.
Right.
That's a matchup he could win. Now, again,
I think Love would get some
open
open shots, though.
Yep. He's also very streaky, too.
Love?
Kevin Love.
Yes.
With that perimeter shot.
Mm-hmm.
He's very streaky. So that's going to go big into that if they ever do meet down the road in the playoffs.
But I do, like I said, they definitely need some kind of other. And we've heard someone else. We've been talking about. We've heard someone else say they need a more playmaker. I think the Wizards. No offense to what LeBron said about that Cavs team, but look at the Wizards. They could use one more playmaker to make them elite. Like that's the ironic part about the LeBron comments. What's that?
I have a tryout for them tomorrow.
Okay,
have a tryout for
James.
There you go.
Oh wait, sorry, I meant the Cavs, not.
Who knows? So
you're part of that open tryout.
Yeah.
I don't want to speak of this too much, but Wizards looking for a playmaker, looking for a guy to come off the bench. There is a guy that's...
I like it. I know where you're going with it, and I like it.
In that Carmelo trade, they're looking for a trade partner with L.A., and L.A.'s looking to get rid of... They want to get rid of Jamal Crawford because of his contract. What a great piece that would be to come off the bench. I just don't know if that's possible.
I like that move.
I didn't actually know where you're going, but I still like it.
I
don't know where I was going.
Well, I mean, that was a little out of left field. But I liked it.
There was rumors that, for the Carmelo trade to happen, they need a third piece. They need a third
you're not
team.
giving up Jordan, and you're not giving up Griffin or Paul. I mean, what are you giving up?
I don't. It's...
So the Wizards have to get someone to the Knicks, I guess, right?
Yeah, the Wizards have to send somebody to the Knicks.
Pick. I don't know what they have pick-wise. I know there's that rule
depending.
you have to have a first-rounder and back-to-back. And
you can't
one of the 2 years, you have to have at least one first-round pick.
It's just something to think about. I don't think it'll ever happen because, again, Crawford's contract is pretty long for somebody his age. And I'm just thinking somebody that could add some kind of
right. No,
piece
I like the
off
idea.
The bench, which is much needed, as we're saying right now for the Wizards.
And I look at the rest, like you said, the Celtics, Raptors. The Hawks and the Wizards have just about the same record at the moment.
But
the thing is, like the Hawks had like a weird thing where were doing really good, then they went on a massive losing streak, then they did really good again to get back where they are now. So I would call that a little bit. They've been more consistent this year. Washington got off to a really bad start, and they've worked their way up, and now have been so hot that they're kind of getting close to the top four. And like you said, a momentum. If this continues on into February, and then even past the All-Star break, and maybe they can bring someone in that they can gel and mesh, it can still build into things. But we could be looking at one team's hot now and the other team's not. That would be the Wizards are hot, Cavs are not, and that's why we're having this discussion now. And when in April, the Cavs are blowing teams out, like if they got a first-round matchup against the Bucks or Pistons or, hey, maybe even the Knicks, maybe the Bulls, I don't know. But they sweep them out of the gym, and the Wizards are hard-pressed to go maybe 7 games to beat the Hawks. I mean, we're saying like we're probably like saying that like what were we thinking back in January? What was I thinking back in January? Because that's where we're sitting right now. That's how I feel. That's how I'm looking, and my eyes are really because this team, Cavs, look like they have some. Because we know they're going to be a different team in April. Like I said, we're going to be a different team in the playoffs. But it's obviously shown that they can be beaten.
Oh yeah,
by Anthony Davis-less Pelicans, by Yogi Ferrell, who had to get cut by the Brooklyn Nets.
It's finally exciting to have like a couple more teams in it instead of just...
and like Mike said, I like the Raptors' chances, and like you said, like the Celtics' chances. So those are 4 teams. I had the Wizards in there, and I'll even put the Hawks in there. Like I said, I love the coach of Budenholzer.
I think they'll start feeling that Kyle Korver though trade sooner than later.
Right. I mean, Dunleavy's stuck around.
Yeah.
So that's good for them, but it's just it will hurt.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure Corver hasn't gotten settled.
No,
in Cleveland
it's
yet.
still trying to, it's like fitting a puzzle piece in there. That's just.
So speaking of Cleveland, I guess we can. The other day we had these comments with LeBron, right? Should we read them, or do you think we can get our audience?
I think the general if you want to read them again,
probably have heard them by now, but it doesn't hurt to have a refresher here on the Sittin Sportside podcast on 1045theteam.com
and youtube.com/theteam1045.
Love it, Mike. Thank you. Now, LeBron, Charles Barkley, our good friend, and the Pete Rose, if you will, of NBA analysts.
I like the comparison.
Yeah, I did that opposite when we were talking about Pete Rose on the Hall of Fame podcast, which you can check out also on youtube.com/team1045. And we talked about the past election of the NBA Hall of Fame. MLB Hall of Fame. Now, Charles Barkley, we all know what his job is, right? He hosts, he's moderated by Ernie Johnson, along with his fellow guys, Kenny the Jet, Smith, Shaquille O'Neal. I know Garnett's been on there this year.
KG.
Chris Webber kind of shows up randomly, some other guys.
Chris Webber shows up wherever he wants to, wherever he wants to.
LeBron's comments, am I right, were about his team. Yeah. They need a playmaker. He was almost...
Barkley took it too far, in my opinion.
All right, we'll get to it. Barkley says those comments, I'm assuming is what he's saying, they're inappropriate, whiny, all the above. The Cleveland Cavaliers have given him everything he wanted. They have the highest payroll in NBA history. He wanted J.R. Smith last summer. They paid him. He wanted Iman Shumpert last summer. They brought in Kyle Korver. He's the best player in the world. Does he want all the good players? He don't want to compete. He is an amazing player. They're the defending champs. Now, LeBron, fresh off a loss to the Dallas Magic. Did I say that? The Dallas Mavericks, the aforementioned Yogi Ferrell had a big shot in that game. The rookie out of Indiana. He has his post-game comments. He says some, the generic stuff, I guess. Then he's like, Dave McMenamin. Like it's like orchestrated. It's like he took a shower. He said, I'm going to do this, I guess, or something like that. Pulls in David Benjamin and just goes off in those comments. And like, I'm not going to let him, as in Barkley, disrespect my legacy like that. I'm not the one who threw somebody through a window. I never spit on a kid. I never had debt in Las Vegas. I never said I'm not a role model. I never showed up to the All-Star Weekend on Sunday because I was in Vegas all weekend partying. All I've done my entire career is represent the NBA the right way. 14 years, never got in trouble. Respect the game. Print that. Reaction to those comments, I have my own reaction, but I'm kind of tired of hearing my voice right now. You guys go.
I agree with LeBron, personally. And I'm not saying that because I love LeBron, because I do. But to me, Barkley took that way too far. I think Barkley's more jealous of what LeBron's achieved in his career, because he's... To me, you can't even use Barkley and LeBron in the same sentence together. It's not even close. LeBron's light years better than Barkley ever was, ever could be, et cetera, et cetera. And to me, LeBron is, the correct poster boy of the NBA. Like Jeter was for baseball for the longest time. Like, that's who I'd want representing my league more. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I mean, it makes sense. That's your opinion.
I think he's just kind of LeBron's had enough. I think like you keep poking somebody, and you're just going to explode, especially after the tough games they've played this month with the record not being exactly where they want to be this month. It's just something that's going to boil up. And the reason why we're making a big deal is because it's the athlete coming out against the media personality, which usually is, precedented. I don't even think I said it right, but
unprecedented.
Trump
Trump tweeted unprecedented.
Yeah,
before,
I was just like, that's where it's in my head. But I think that's why it's such a big deal. And I don't know if anybody's in a right or wrong. Like, I think Charles Barkley is expressing his opinion, and I don't think it's necessarily right or wrong. But
it's his gosh darn job.
If he doesn't give his honest answer, then we're just getting some...
How good are the ratings if Charles Barkley shows up and says, I love everybody. I love everybody out there.
And that's why you love Charles Barkley most times, right? Because he tells it how it is.
That's not my Barkley accent. It's just me talking in general.
But you like it because he tells it how it is. He tells you what he believes.
That's why I watch TNT. I don't watch it to hear Ernie Johnson. No offense to Ernie Johnson. I actually like Ernie Johnson a lot. But I don't think I would tune in if it was just Ernie Johnson, like an Ernie Johnson. I tune in because I like to hear what Shaq has to say. I like to hear what Barkley has to say. And I like the banter between the three of them. I mean, a lot of times Ernie just sits back and lets those three go at it.
You might not agree with what Charles said, but you're going to, I respect his opinion.
Listen,
because
there's nothing wrong with what Charles Barkley said. I'm sorry.
And he's been in the NBA long enough. And again, I think it's okay that LeBron
the perception, because here's my thing.
Against him.
The perception of what LeBron said to the media, and he never came out and denied that this is what the perception was we need to go out and get more players, basically saying that Dan Gilbert needs to, take out his checkbook, pay money so we can go out and get more pieces. So if that's what he meant to say, LeBron does, and I have this theory that maybe LeBron was saying, we need a playmaker, as in we need someone on this team that we already have to step up. Well, I guess the public perception said that wasn't the case, and now that they're bringing in guys like Lance Stevenson, Mario Chalmers, and others to try out for it, maybe that is the case. Maybe he does want someone else to come in. So if that is the perception, then I agree with Charles Barkley. The highest luxury tax of all time. This guy pays Kyrie Irving. He pays Tristan Thompson. He pays shirtless man over there. He does everything to bring in the people that LeBron wants, including Shumpert, who they won the championship. What more could the guy have done? And then Gilbert goes out there and gets Corver.
Isn't it amazing a player and
Dunleavy wasn't even being used?
Isn't it amazing too? Like a player can come out and say this stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
and I hated hearing him say the thing about the fantasy too. I was like, LeBron, when have you ever played fantasy? When I play, and people probably have play fantasy different than me. When I play fantasy, I don't play it like fantasy. I play it like I'm a GM, but it's just I happen to have people on all different teams and stuff like that. But beside the point, go ahead.
No, I think I don't like the comments LeBron's been making about how he's complaining about his own team out in the public that they need to make a move. Have that behind closed doors.
Right.
That's something that doesn't need to be said.
And I know,
and you can't get mad at a TV personality for some person coming out and expressing their opinion about that.
For someone living through LeBron James' career and LeBron James' legacy, it hurts for me, his legacy, from my personal perception. For the general perception, for me, I don't know everything that happened during Michael Jordan's career, so I'm kind of jaded to where everyone puts Michael Jordan now. And same thing with guys like Magic Johnson, Bird, all those guys from back there. Because you're not living during that time. You just kind of know the highlights you've seen online. You know the propaganda, if you will, you've seen now, people talking about them being the best ever and whatnot. That's what's going to happen 10, 15 years down the road when people talk about LeBron James' career. No one's going to bring up this instance. But for someone living through it and how I'm thinking about LeBron James, and we kind of had something similar when I was talking about Coach K, but I think this was more blatant. This was more blatant. It's someone basically saying, I'm doing it right. I'm being a great role model. I'm doing everything right. So print that. Like, what was the exact quote? 14 years, never got in trouble, respect the game, print that. All I've done in my career is represent the NBA the right way. And while that all that might be true, I guess things rub me the wrong way, maybe when they shouldn't, but that just kind of rubs me as, guys, like, I'm awesome, I'm perfect, I'm the superstar this league needs. Like, like me, love me, and know that everything he's saying is wrong. And I don't know if this is kind of just raw emotions being out for me, I think, but it's just like I just don't like to hear that from a guy like LeBron James. I would love for it to just maybe him have a therapist so he can yell all this thing to them in a closed, like you said, closed doors, so he can get it out of his system, but not bring it out to me and let me see LeBron James act like this.
Well, it makes his teammates look bad too. Like he's making the Cavs, and again, I'm a LeBron supporter.
How relevant is Charles Barkley? I think
he's pretty relevant,
but like in the grand scheme of things.
Oh, you mean towards like why you should care about his opinion?
Right, exactly.
I don't know about that, but I think Charles Barkley is definitely somebody that can.
I know value it, but I'm saying like if you're LeBron James,
why does it matter?
You've taken so much criticism in your entire career. Why now?
You think maybe
I would not care what Barkley has to say. You have nothing to prove to Barkley.
Well, you think maybe
you've already proved it, right? You've won 3 chips. You won one against the team 73-9. Yeah. What more do you need to prove to Barkley? That you prove it to yourself. Like so, it's almost like he's not even confident in himself. I know he is like the best player. He loves to compete. I think it's what you said. I think he's tired. I think he's kind of fed up with having to carry this team, and I think he's upset because he doesn't want his team to like have this kind of stretch.
I think he feels like it's.
I think he should do what he did. Was it last year or maybe 2 years ago, and just take like a few days off. Now people would get him on for that. I might even get him on for that. Like,
Yeah.
but it's I
But
think
it's something that in the long run,
is it better than playing through it, doing terrible, and then basically kind of like coming out and saying all this stuff, or is it better to say I'm gonna take a little bit of a break here? We got the West Coast trip coming up or whatever, and just lay back, let the media get on you for taking rest, but when you come back, you're fresh and you're ready to put the best product on the court.
Yeah.
Because we live in a day and age where everyone's
help.
resting, so why not just take it? I mean, I'm not a fan of it. But why not? Everyone else
He's
is doing
also
it.
in his 30s too. He's not a young gun anymore, and he said days ago something about he doesn't know how many years he's got left, and it was part of those comments. Giving him a day off or two, yeah, maybe that does help. I agree with that, but I get back to the point of just like saying it doesn't make it better. Out to the public, it's not going to magically make it better. If anything, just go talk to Dan Gilbert about this is what moves I think we should make. And again, it's funny because most players really shouldn't have a say, in my opinion, on that stuff.
LeBron's the real GM of that team.
But that's a problem. I don't know if it's a problem, but
Well,
when
it
you
is
have a
the
player,
public perception.
when you have a player, because then the coach becomes what? He's not even the coach anymore. He becomes a person that's on the sideline. And I'm not taking anything away from Tyronn Lue.
They fired David Blatt though
And
mid-season.
they had the best record in the NBA or second best or something like that? Second best.
Definitely close.
Yeah.
I mean, like all or since Tyronn Lue took over.
I'm just saying, like when David Blatt got fired, they had a great
second best.
record.
Yeah.
But like when you have a player
Or
that's
third best, the Spurs are probably ahead of
the
them last
Spurs.
year.
When you have a player that literally can fire coaches and tell an organization what to do.
Can we be serious though? David Blatt's firing was probably the smartest thing they could have ever done.
Yeah, but look at the stretch they're going through right now. This is the losingest month of LeBron James' career. They had that with
8
David
years.
Blatt, so they're like, oh, we need to get rid of David Blatt. So why the heck is Tyronn Lue? I mean, I'm not okay. Now I'm just. Now you're getting me mad by saying that because I disagree with that 100%.
I didn't like David Blatt. I thought he was a terrible hire in the first place.
I don't think he did anything
That doesn't change the
though.
fact that how bad they treated him. They didn't even let him finish the season. Fine, they offered him a ring, but I mean, come on, you want Tyronn Lue to be your head coach? You could have at least let him finish the season. Fired him before last season. I mean,
Didn't David Blatt
when
have
was
a
the last
system?
time someone with that record got fired at the All-Star break? When's the last time someone coached the Eastern All-Star team or Western All-Star team and got fired after that? Are you serious, Mike?
I thought he deserved it.
To get fired?
Yeah.
He led the team to the finals, and it was Kyrie Irvingless and Kevin Loveless, and only lost 4-2.
I
So
think
once,
there's a
once
lot.
you put it's all on LeBron, then it's not Tyronn
But
Lue, it's
hold
all
on.
LeBron.
I can almost guarantee there's more to David Blatt's firing than we even know about. I guarantee you him and LeBron probably had a huge blowout that nobody ever heard about, and that's why Blatt got fired. And you can't say I'm wrong because we don't have proof that I'm right or I'm wrong.
That's a big assumption though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a terrible way to end an
But the
argument,
guy's a terrible coach. He can't coach. Terrible.
He had the winningest team, Maccabi Tel Aviv, of all time.
Okay.
I'm just saying, the guy can coach
That's
a little.
not the NBA.
Okay,
Yeah, but in the NBA,
you
he had
just said
success
coach.
too.
You didn't say NBA coach.
I know you don't like. You obviously don't like him as a coach. That's fine because he did have his own offensive system.
I agree with
like,
him in the sense of they should never have hired him until LeBron decided where he was going to go. How does that make sense to hire Blatt before you know you're going to get LeBron or not? I agree with that.
Yeah. The thing is, I just think I kind of like your point with the LeBron, and I know where you're going with it, Mike. That if you're gonna put it all on LeBron, like, oh, he was a savior then, like you got. I hate to say it this way, but now it's going towards you now. You're the one making the decisions.
Mm-hmm.
You're the one that's.
They didn't have this bad of a stretch under Blatt.
Yeah, well.
So there's that. I mean, but
And you can argue that he has a better team right now.
yeah,
Than
I would say.
right.
I mean, they got they have Korver. What's different? I mean, they lost Mozgov and Dellavedova.
Yeah.
I mean, but
They were good, but I think I'd still take. Well, it's actually a good question.
there's that sense of they missed the ball handling of Matthew Dellavedova off the
Yeah.
bench. Kay Felder
good
can't
defender
replicate
too.
that.
He's a good
Good
defender.
defender, of course.
Now,
I mean, he's not really not. I'm not trying to like diss anything he's doing with
No,
Milwaukee,
he's not like
but
a
he's not like
playmaker.
impacting them to make them that
Yeah.
great. But
now the Cavs are trying to get better though.
They
And
are.
They seem to be taking
We mentioned
LeBron's.
this, yes.
So they've been, I guess, recently they brought in some free agents to work out.
Mhm.
And that list consists of, as far as my knowledge, Kirk Heinrich,
Yes, sir.
Mario Chalmers, former point guard that played with him in Miami.
You might as well say like, you might as well just like name a team called like LeBron.
Mario Chalmers.
And that's like what we're talking about.
And then Lance Stevenson.
Mm-hmm.
So my
and
question is,
they would have to elect to waive Chris Anderson, who's out the rest of the season.
Oh, yeah, who's out the rest of the season, yep. Mario Chalmers, I believe, is coming off a season where he ruptured his Achilles.
Yep. Last March when he was on the Grizzlies after being traded from the Heat.
So in my opinion, I don't think you need a guard as a Cavs because I think Kyrie's fine, obviously. And then if something ever happened to Kyrie, LeBron's your point guard.
If you ask me, Kyle Korver should be starting on that team. They'd be much better.
Than DeAndre Liggins, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting to say that. I mean, I think a sixth man is where they're going for it, like a spark off the bench. But I don't disagree with that. And the reason I don't disagree with that is because early on in the game, you need to get threes up. Is Liggins a threat from the three? Not at all.
Kyle Korver, you got to be scared for your life with.
Liggins is very athletic. I think he's a good defender. Maybe that's where they're going with it. But I don't disagree with you, Mike. I can see them maybe experimenting. Where's Tyronn Lue? Where's the great-minded Tyronn Lue experimenting with the starting five here?
Good question.
Let me ask you, which free agent out of those three do you think would have the biggest impact on that Cavaliers team? I think it's Lance Stevenson.
I agree.
I go Chalmers. So you go ahead.
Like I said, I don't think they need a guard. I personally don't.
Lance Stevenson is still the all-time leading scorer in New York.
But Lance Stevenson is.
That's true.
But Joseph Girard III, a little local.
Oh, he's going to pass him.
On pace.
Yeah.
On pace.
Pretty cool stat,
But
though.
still, Stevenson is still currently high school basketball's leading scorer in New York State.
But then Lance can slide down to the three. But I think he's still a guard. I think he's still better suited for that two spot.
Yes, two spot, but I don't think I'm talking more about
Point
ball
guard.
handler,
Okay.
I guess. That better words
Doesn't
to
hurt,
describe it.
though.
Yeah. No, it doesn't hurt.
Lance has played point guard. The Clips tried to make him a little.
I
do a
think
point
you
guard.
are right on that, but it was like that failed, right?
Yeah, it wasn't.
Didn't
great.
Indiana try and move him there too at one point?
Yeah, well, no, George Hill was basically
That's true.
The point guard.
Do signing one of them make them that much better though?
No.
Also, I know I just brought up does it?
I think they
now
might be
makes
better
Vegas
without
look
You
him.
said the thing about Chalmers with the injury, but a healthy Chalmers I think does make them a little bit better, and then that's probably why he's not on a team yet because he's probably not fully healthy. I'm not sure how well he's going to react from that Achilles injury. But Chalmers was a pretty good player last year for the Grizzlies on a team that was hot. They got to the playoffs, and it was a lot because how early they were in the season, how good they were early in the season. And we saw what happened to them. They were so depleted with injuries. One of those injuries was Mario Chalmers, and he's got that championship pedigree. He dates back to Kansas, and then he has two of those rings with LeBron in Miami. So I think that the championship pedigree, knowing how he knows how to be cool under big moments. 10, 15 minutes game off the bench. Stevenson for me is too much of a wild card. I think it's an experiment, and if it doesn't work, then it's just like, why the heck did we do that?
You know what though? Like when LeBron starts feeling like he needs a vent, Lance Stevenson could just lightly blow in his ear.
Yeah, if you're talking playmaker, Stevenson probably if for the true meaning of the word, I guess someone who can make things happen on his own. I think Chalmers in his own right has ways of doing that, but I would still probably give that a little bit to Lance Stevenson.
Yeah,
we're talking the true definition of a playmaker. If that says LeBron says that they do need. So the comments, I think, I thought, I don't want to say weak by LeBron. I just think that you've taken the high road how many times? I know people are saying, oh, he took it that many times, so it's okay to him to take it now. Not to take it now. I think you took it that many times. You want to be respected. I did everything right, but then you're coming out and saying I did everything right.
It's funny because I want to say
you have to respect me.
I want to say I wouldn't say anything.
And last thing I want to say too, go ahead.
No, I just want to say I want to say I wouldn't say anything, but I'm not I can't put myself in his shoes, obviously. But yeah, I agree. I don't think it's something that he needed to say out in the public. Should have been behind closed doors. But then again, well, not closed doors to Charles Barkley. Mm-hmm. I mean, towards his team. But that's what kind of sparked it.
If you're really getting into this, I listened to a portion. I think he was on ESPN Chicago's Waddle and Sylvie on Tuesday, and he had a great interview with them. I think he was on for 30 minutes. I wasn't able to listen to 11 because I was, working for Levac and Gaz, and he basically, kind of reacted almost to everything that LeBron said about him. of like the exact like events. So like when he threw a guy out the window, and it's like one of those classic guy has an answer for everything. It's classic Barkley. We threw him out the window. Yeah, well he threw alcohol on me and he deserved it. I never spit on a kid was what LeBron said, but he Barkley spin that to say that changed his life to him because he was like mad at everybody, and that after he did that he realized he needed to buck up. He said he never missed the All-Star game. He said he was always there on time, whatever. And then the role model one. I mean, he went on an interesting little rant about the role model one, saying that he was like the first person to tell kids to go to like stay true and like listen to your parents. Yet people and I don't totally disagree with him by saying he's not a role model. Look at all the things he did. So he kind of came out and said to the people who may have looked at him as a role model, I know it's like, oh, well, you're going to be a role model regardless of what you say, but I gave him some respect to come out and say, like, I'm not a role model. Like, get an education and listen to your parents. I give Barkley some credit, but it was a good, my moral story there is, I think it's a good interview. It's a good listen. Hear what he has to say about it. He doesn't mind LeBron's comments. He was just doing his job, and and that's what he does. I mean, he did it with Jordan. Obviously, they don't talk now.
That's what he gets paid for.
Right.
That's why he's one of the best.
And guess
that's
what?
Why he's one of the best.
Like LeBron said, LeBron never had unpaid debt in Las Vegas. Well, guess what? Barkley did, and that's why he's working at TNT.
Got to pay back.
LeBron
somehow.
even said that himself. But I mean, hey, so he's working, but he's got to get the ratings in order to stay, right?
Yeah. TNT.
And that's what he really believes. And I think he even went on to say that LeBron is a top 10. He didn't say top 5. Maybe that got to LeBron as well, but top 10 player.
That's almost another conversation for another. I feel like we could actually talk about that.
We could, I know, but and then he also asked he don't want to compete, and people took that away like LeBron doesn't want to compete. I think he was just kind of like reading into it of a sense of you're complaining like you don't want to take this out, like you don't want to do it yourself. I guess I don't.
No, I think it was more
like
like
it's more like a.
It's been basically
you've
the
been a
argument
competitor
against
now.
him.
You don't want to continue to be that competitor.
It's basically been the argument against him ever since he went to Miami at first.
All right, I think it's time to say goodbye to our beloved Mike James.
Mike, we're gonna miss you.
Can't believe it's over for
All right,
now.
It's over for now. And Mike, just give the audience a quick synopsis of where you're going.
Well, I'm pulling out of my house about 6 o'clock Saturday morning for Tucson, Arizona for the rest of the winter to call me some thoroughbred racing.
Nice.
Woo! I'll be back at the end of March.
Pegasus Cup, man. Arrowgate.
Are you gonna give me any like detail? Like,
Arrowgate,
hey,
man.
Should bet this horse today.
Best horse of all time? Are we thinking that?
You gonna give me the inside?
You crazy?
Scoop? Ooh. You gonna give me an inside scoop?
I'll try.
Well, Mike, I want to win some money.
You should have been around me last week. I told you to bet Arrowgate all day.
The real question is,
you
where
did.
can we listen? Do you know where we can listen to you online?
Not yet, but
We'll
I
keep
will
it posted.
pass it on to you guys, and you can pass it on to the listeners.
Oh, for sure.
Oh yeah.
For sure. So you can follow Mike.
Announcer MJ44 on Twitter. Or if you're feeling frisky, you can even add me on Facebook at Mike James.
Nice.
Ooh,
If we have mutual friends. But if not, shoot me a message and I will
All right,
add
well, friend
you.
request me first, and then you'll have me as a mutual friend. I'm just kidding.
Don't friend request him. No, I'm just kidding. Seriously though.
Do not add me as a friend or look me up.
No.
I'd rather not.
At Hogan.
Hogan. I'm not on Facebook. I have like 90 friends because they're like the only 90 people.
And I'm not one of them apparently. So
Yeah. Well, I was just. Oh my God! Thank God I didn't just say what I was going to say. Because it would have been horrible timing. I was just say I only have 90 friends because you know what I mean?
I'm
Like
one
those
of
are the
them.
90 people I know and like actually like if they post something like I'll be like, oh, this is interesting.
Nice.
You know what
I
I mean?
am one of them.
You are one of them, Eric. You're
He
one.
forced you.
You're one of them. Forced my hand.
I'm one of them. Have I earned my way?
You will earn your way.
Well, guys, it has been fun.
All right, nice. So I have at Hogan Hoagie, at announcer MJ44. I'm at Eric H1045. So keep your eyes and ears open for more Sittin Sportside podcast. We'll have more next week.
Don't forget to catch, if you didn't catch
Sans Mike James, but go ahead.
the D. Orlando Ledbetter interview, which will be up on YouTube
all
also.
on YouTube. Our take on the Super Bowl. Get ready. It's going to be great on Sunday. So for Mike James, Matt Hogan, I'm Eric Hammond, signing off from the Sittin Sportside podcast right here on 104.5theteam.com.
Stay classy.